Now, back to Sunrise on News Radio 880 KCMX.
Swaying to the symphony of destruction.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome. 17 minutes after the hour, you've got the Sunrise Show. Craig Froelich in as your host, and thrilled to welcome onto the program Kathleen Kellenbeck, and she's one of the owners for Brainjoy here in Medford, Rogue Valley's first Neuro-Wellness center. You can find their website, brainjoy.com. And Kathleen, good to see you this morning.
It's great to be back.
Yeah, it's great to have you in. You've been in the studio before. We've talked about this fascinating work that Brainjoy, you do, and this Neuro-Optimal is the software, but it's... Explain this to our listeners, what this is, what this does.
Well, Neuro-Optimal neurofeedback is a form of technology where sounds will be played back through a composition of music based on what EEG sensors are picking up on a person's scalp. And when the brain and central nervous system experience those sounds, it's as though they're holding up a mirror to the brain and showing it what it's doing and that it has different choices. And when that occurs, the individual's own body, knowing of what it needs to do differently, can take action accordingly. And with the momentum of repeated sessions over time, new neural nets, new firing patterns start to develop in the brain. And given that the brain's the control center for the entire body, it really, basically what it's doing is creating greater resilience and flexibility in the brain and central nervous system, which correlates with improvement in resolution of ABCXYZ.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of brain trauma. You can have, a lot of talk with NFL and concussions and things like that. That's brain trauma. Car accident, that's brain trauma. But relationships and emotion and look at personal relationships, domestic violence and, someone even in the scare of, say, being stalked or being threatened at school or bullying or any of those things, and then you get into PD, you get into traumatic brain injury there, but veterans, you're helping all walks of life, everyone that's having issues, right?
It's a great privilege, and people don't even realize that just the accumulation of life stressors can impact the brain as trauma. And when that occurs, our brains and our bodies respond to support us to do the best we can given the circumstances of the moment. But when that is going on for a while, those firing patterns are going to be stuck. And people find themselves in these loops of trying to create new, good, healthy habits and then falling off track. And they get into this vicious cycle that they just can't break out of, no matter how good their intentions are. And by coming sessions at Brainjoy, it helps the brain and central nervous system get out of these old patterns and create new ones to support the individual in being able to take those steps to support themselves more easily in life.
Yeah. Just take, for example, that emotion piece. You get kind of stressed and you want a burger or you want a thing of fries. Or chocolate chips or whatever it might be. I love how you call it the drug of choice, right?
Absolutely. Food was my drug of choice. I would say food still is my drug of choice. However, I now have greater capacity to make healthier choices. I'm not as triggered to emotional eating, but rather other options when emotions rise up in me. And so I am able to be more flexible and resilient. It's
interesting that science and the brain, what's happening in this Neuro-Optimal, with the EEG sensors is that it's giving the brain ability to find more new electric, synopsis? What am I saying?
Well, we don't treat, cure, heal, or diagnose anything.
Right.
The EEG sensors are picking up brainwave activity and then feeding back to the brain through sound information to show, it's in a sense taking the blinders off, showing the brain and central nervous system what it's doing and that it has more choices than it might otherwise have realized.
I was shocked, Kathleen, and we've got Kathleen Kellenbeck here in the studio. She's one of the owners of Brainjoy here in Medford over on Jackson Street, and their phone number 541-622-6220, and the website brainjoy.com. And if you hear this, they've got complimentary sessions, right? They're only an hour.
We do. We actually offer everybody a complimentary consultation and an entire session to experience the technology, because we really hang our hat on clients' experiences rather than any kind of data.
Yeah.
And there is data, but we really want people to experience it because it speaks for itself.
And the balancing of the brain, I don't think people realize. I mean, when we come back, we've got a break coming up, but I want to talk about, the frontal lobes, the left, right. I mean, that kind of gives an example of how out of balance we get. Doesn't that show, I know that's the data part of things, but that's the underlying piece of why you do what you do, because science has shown us that the different megahertz, what is it? Hertz? That gets into a whole different thing.
Yeah, it's
but still, certain parts of the brain are supposed to be doing certain things.
Yeah, and when things are out of whack, we're going to be off balance, and then we're not going to be ready when life comes at us.
Very good. Well, I was treated yesterday, so we got to talk about that when we come back. I got my complimentary neuro-optimal consultation, and I loved it. And we want to talk about that when we come back, because it was fascinating. I have to tell you what talk about like a power nap I got. That was amazing. So we'll be back. We've got Kathleen Kellenbeck with Brainjoy in the studio here. Their phone number 541-622-6220 and their website brainjoy.com. You won't believe it. The people that they're helping without drugs. That's just amazing. And it's anyway. Kathleen, thank you. We'll be right back. More on the Sunrise Show. The Bloomberg market update is next. Feels so good today. Thank you, Brainjoy. Back after this.
So get up. Top of the morning to you.
Now, back to Sunrise on News Radio 880 KCMX.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. 35 minutes after the hour, it's the Sunrise Show. Craig Froenick is your host, continuing with Kathleen Kellenbeck from Brainjoy, and locally here in Medford, 1007 East Jackson, 1007 East Jackson in Medford. The phone number 541-622-6220, brainjoy.com. Find them on Facebook and Twitter and all that kind of stuff. And Kathleen, it's what's so great about Brainjoy is it seems so natural that the brain is responding immediately. You don't have drugs. You don't have side effects. You don't have all this crazy technician piece. You've now got it related to what they're called, the software is the Neuro-Optimal system, and it's EEG, and it's picking up on it. But the people that are being helped, the testimonials, you're helping veterans, you're helping young people, both young ladies and young men, boys as well, and then helping the veterans, whether they're a 35-year-old or a 70-year-old, and the demographics are incredible. But some of the testimonials, Kathleen, talk about that.
Well, for starters, to date, our youngest client was 15 months old, and our oldest client, 94.
Oh, my gosh.
So, everything in between. We had a 13-year-old boy a few months back whose mother we had worked with, and she brought in her son. He was having issues with focus and struggling with math and procrastination in school and some behavioral issues. And after the first session, he came in all sort of down and eyes downcast and sort of glum looking.
I hate being here. I don't want to do this.
Yeah, I'm just doing it because my mom is making me. And at the end of the session, one side of his mouth starts to curl up, and I said, "How are you doing?" And he said, "Well, what's happening?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Well, I feel happy." And it just, his mother's eyes just welled up in tears. What does any mom want to hear but that her son feels happy?
A 13-year-old boy as well.
Of course. Yeah. And, he's excelling in athletics. And he started getting A's in school. I seem to work with a number of teenage boys that their parents bring in with these kinds of issues. And they just seem to take to it really beautifully. And then we have other people who, adults who struggle with sleep or anxiety or self-worth issues and depression and just really a lot of anxiety, performance anxiety in the workplace or socially.
Well, it's huge. I can't even imagine some of these young people having to go through what they're going through now with all this and, the whole bullying thing. If you've got any baggage whatsoever related to the texting piece, and kids are just... they're just using it as another tool to beat up others. And you mentioned the young ladies that are coming in. They've got huge anxiety.
Absolutely. And, it's interesting. We seem to see a lot of teenage boys, but the girls, I would have thought we would have seen teenage girls going through all kinds of different hormonal issues and changes in life. But no, they seem to come after college. Even if they've had ADD or ADHD, and sometimes it doesn't go as easily diagnosed with the young ladies as it does the boys. But the girls seem to come in after college when they're trying to get ready for the workforce or an internship or an externship. And they're just so anxious and burning the candle at both ends and can't seem to find their groove. And they just do a few sessions and things start to shift and they get greater clarity and have greater confidence to be able to speak up about what it is they really want to pursue, rather than going with something that would be pleasing to maybe their parents or that kind of thing.
Well, and this is affordable. This session, amazing. It's peaceful. It's quiet. You get to sit in a nice chair and relax. No problem. It's $65 for a 45-minute session.
Yes.
And if you buy 10, you've got a great price of $495 for 10 sessions.
Right. We try to make it doable for everybody in one way or another. And after people have done a series of 10 sessions, because some people think of it like a massage for the brain. We'll have something called Tune-Up Tuesdays. And so they can come back in periodically, or if they want to continue the work, they can come back in for additional discounts.
Exactly. Kathleen, do you have time to stay?
Sure.
I have just a few more minutes. We have to get to a break, but I want to talk more about these testimonials, and if anyone wants to call in and ask you a question, they could do that.
Absolutely.
So, all right. 541-772-8255 is the phone number here. We've got Kathleen Kellenbeck with Brainjoy, her website, brainjoy.com, and their phone number, they're down on East Jackson, 541-622-6220. And maybe we'll take your calls after this break. It's the News Radio 880 KCMX and the Sunrise Show back after this.
This is Sunrise on News Radio 880 KCMX.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. 47 minutes after the hour, it's the Sunrise Show on News Radio 880 KCMX, and thrilled to keep Kathleen Kellenbeck over. Kathleen, thanks so much for staying on. And if you want to ask a question, this will be your perfect time to do that. 541-772-8255 with questions about Brainjoy and this Neuro-Optimal program that, of course, the Neuro-Wellness Center, they're the only Neuro-Wellness Center in Southern Oregon, down on 1007 East Jackson Street, and the phone number 541-622-6220, and you could get a complimentary
session.
That's right.
And consultation.
So, very cool. And I went for one yesterday.
How'd you feel?
It was amazing. You had a kind of questionnaire thing, very easy, sat, did the whole, and the EEG sensors, no problem, very comfortable, little blankie if I wanted it, and all of a sudden I'm sitting there listening to things, and before I knew it, I conked out.
Did you like the music?
It was fine. It was fine. It was, earbuds, no problem. And it was just kind of listening. It was just kind of great. And then I got done, and I realized it took me a minute because I was going, well, I felt kind of embarrassed. I fell asleep, which is okay.
It's absolutely
right.
good, yeah.
And I got in my car, and I was driving away, and I was going, oh, my goodness, I feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday, Thursday, I mean, the week kind of catches up to me. So by Thursday, I'm pretty... I could sleep for a few hours by as hard as I pushed. And yesterday, I had some coffee in the morning and everything, but I felt really good.
Yeah,
It was pretty amazing.
We had a client who came for her complimentary session a few months ago, and she was saying that she was a workaholic, and her husband was retiring, and she just didn't have time for vacations, and she could really use a good 2 weeks, and it takes about a week for her to settle down, and so then she can really enjoy the second week. When she came out of that first session, she said, I feel like I've just had a week's vacation.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I kind of equated it to like a power nap, and sometimes you'll sleep for 15 minutes, sometimes you'll sleep for an hour and a half, whatever, and you can feel good either one. And I was just going like, wow, okay. I feel so rested.
Yeah.
It's really something.
And, you don't realize sometimes how life's stress weighs down on you, and you can really become drained, and then lack of self-worth starts to develop, and insecurities, and there's quite the snowball effect. I had a client not too long ago who came in who'd been suffering with chronic headaches for years, a single mom with young children, works full-time, and within a few sessions, her headaches were gone. And she came in and she rated how good she felt on a scale of 1 to 10 as a 3 when she first came in. And last week it was a 10. And she's just, when her washer and dryer broke down, she made a game out of doing the laundry together with the children in the sink, the old-fashioned way.
Wow.
But it was a fun thing rather than just one more burden. Life comes at you and you find another way to work with it. That's what I mean by the resilience and the flexibility. Everything becomes easier as we optimize our brain functioning.
I'm telling you, we ought to line up our school children and just bring them through there. I mean, the lack of focus, the peer pressure, then you get into the drug addictions and things like that. You were at the Rogue Valley Health Fair.
Yes.
And successful there.
Yeah, we were very well received. We've been there now several years in a row, and it's wonderful meeting all kinds of new and different people. We love that the Rogue Valley Health Fair supports Southern Oregon Sparrows Club, and in fact, we are having a drawing on Valentine's Day for the people who entered our raffle for
very good.
sessions. We're doing that tomorrow, but we pushed it out to Valentine's Day because we wanted to donate more to Southern Oregon Sparrow Club. And so for everybody who likes Brainjoy's Facebook page, through tomorrow, we're going to donate an additional $1 to the Southern Oregon Sparrow
Club. So here's
Club.
your chance, ladies and gentlemen. You get plugged in, you hit their Facebook page, and is it Brainjoy on Facebook?
Yeah, it's Brainjoy.
Very good. So that's easy enough.
And then they can learn more about Brainjoy through the posts as well.
Very good. Very good. All right. And Sparrow Clubs, that's an amazing, Matt Sampson and his crew, they just do amazing work.
They really do.
They do amazing work.
They really do.
Well, Kathleen, it's great to have you in. And anyone that wants to get a chance to call in, here's your chance, 541-772-8255. Ask Kathleen a question about it. Hopefully we've answered all of your questions. But this is amazing because you can help in areas of, and you said you don't heal, don't fix, don't what?
We don't treat, cure, heal, or diagnose.
There you go, right.
We help create greater resilience and flexibility in the brain and central nervous system. It's like yoga for the brain or massage for the brain, and except it's true science and technology that helps balance everything out, with the brain being the control center for the entire body.
I mean, athletes, athletes are doing this as well, right?
Yes.
And even executives for increased focus.
There was a gentleman, I think his name is Steve Hammond, in his 50s that competed in Canada in CrossFit competitions. He used this technology, the neurooptimal neurofeedback, which is what we offer at Brainjoy, to help him succeed in his training and competition. And he won some particular CrossFit competition in Canada, and credits Neurooptimal Neurofeedback for helping him through that.
It's amazing. I mean, memory, focus, sports performance, weight management, learning, concentration, executive, academic functions, energy. And I just think for our veterans, PTSD and brain injuries and, migraine headaches, all that kind of stuff.
We've had great privilege working with veterans. And in fact, we offer a discount for veterans and seniors.
Very good. Kathleen, thank you so much for coming in. Ladies and gentlemen, Kathleen Kellenbeck from Brainjoy. They're local here in town, 1007 East Jackson Street. Their phone number, 541-622-6220, and brainjoy.com. Kathleen, thanks again for coming in this morning.
Oh, thank you.
All right, got to get to a break. The Bloomberg Market Update is next. It's the Sunrise Show on News Radio 880 KCMX. More is coming up. I've got a giveaway this morning for Valentine's, so you'll want to stay tuned for that. Back after the break, it's the Sunrise Show on News Radio 880 KCMX.